close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Star Sport podcast. I'm Jack McCarran of the Southern Star and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. On today's show we'll be joined by Kinsale's Orla Finn ahead of the Cork Ladies Footballers League Final with Galway on Sunday.
We'll also be chatting to Olympic rowing hopeful Denise Walsh ahead of the Skibbereen Rowing Regatta this weekend.
But Kieran, there's only one place to start today's show, and that's at Ellen Road, where there were incredible scenes on Sunday as Premier League hopefuls Leeds United and Aston Villa shared the points in a 1-1 draw. But it wasn't the result that grabbed the headlines, and for those that didn't see the game, I'll set the scene. Aston Villa forward Jonathan Kodja goes down injured in midfield. Referee Stuart Atwell waves play on. Villa players appeal for the ball to be put out of play. Leeds attacker Tyler Roberts treads it through to Matthias Klick, who slots the ball home. Cue utter chaos. And now you might be wondering why we're covering this incident on a West Cork sports podcast. But Kieran, maybe you can shed some light on that?
I can indeed, Jack. Just after Leeds scored a goal that they shouldn't have scored, in my opinion, it was Bandon's own Conor Hourihane who squared up to, I think it was it Kodja he squared? No, it wasn't. It was
it was the goal scorer.
It was the goal scorer, the Leeds goal scorer that Conor kind of squared up to, because Conor was not happy with the conduct and
not happy with putting it mildly.
He was, and I think he's 100% right for what Conor did. You know, he's a bit of fire in the belly and stuff, and he was like, "Fake this," you know, kind of like myself and you disagree in this, Jack. You know, I'm very much for Conor Hourihane's reaction in this, because I think what Leeds did was 100% wrong. Okay, they didn't break any official rule in the game, but it was very unsportsmanlike. And in the first half, when
hang on, I just have to stop you there, right?
Oh, here we go. You
were saying unsportsmanlike. Yeah. I think it's unsportsmanlike for certain footballers to go down holding their legs, their arms, their shoulders when there's barely been a touch, and then the opposition team, because of this false etiquette and sportsmanship that is in the game, they then have to put it out of play so that player can just get back up and get back into position. He ended up being taken off as a sub, but I would have doubts about the severity of his injury. I think they've done that to protect him, but just get him off the field, make it look like he was really injured, just to so I think the lack of sportsmanship is more in the players going down injured than the opposition players putting it out of play, which is absolutely ridiculous. You don't see in hurling, when a player goes down, or in Gaelic football, the opposition put it out of play. No, the game just goes on, the physio runs on and attends to the injured player. I do agree with you there, Jack. It's a blight on the game, the way that players now feign injury and stuff, and it's nonsense half the time. I think back a couple of years ago, David Luiz for Chelsea against Manchester United at Old Trafford, Luiz went down in the corner injured. I think the player was stopped, and there was a photo after of Luiz just smiling. He was just smiling away to the fans, you know, because he knew he'd pull the fast one. Yeah.
But going back to the Leeds Aston Villa game, in the first half of that game, and I could be wrong here, but I think I'm right, one of the Leeds players went down injured and Villa kicked the ball out for them. Yeah. So they were like, it's only fair, like what Villa did to the Leeds player went down injured, Leeds should have done the same when a Villa player went down injured, but they didn't, you know. Call them dirty Leeds or call them whatever you want, but they played on, and that goal, even though again it didn't break any rules, it just wasn't right in the context of the game, and that's why I was delighted that Leeds, again, they actually won some admirers for once when Marco Bielsa ordered his players to let Aston Villa score a goal, even though the Leeds captain and central defender tried his best to stop it. But
he was me in that moment.
That was you.
I said, go for it. But I don't necessarily think the wrong thing was done in the end by Leeds giving the goal, because in current football, that is just the way things are done. There is this false etiquette. But what I'm saying is, a rule should be brought in. Just turn off your phone there for a second and we'll carry on. A rule should be brought in across the board where players are no longer expected to put the ball out of play for an injury, and just get rid of this complete and utter blight on the game, as you say. And I'm not holding it against Conor Hourihane for reacting the way he did, because of the etiquette footballers expect. That was a natural reaction. But if that was taken away from the players, the need to kick the ball out because someone is down holding their ankle, then none of this situation would have arose. The Aston Villa players, what are you always told from the age of about 5 or 6 when you're playing football, hurling, GAA, rugby, anything? Play to the whistle. But the Aston Villa players did not play to the whistle. They expected sportsmanship from Leeds of all clubs.
But they
expected sportsmanship. How? Never expect anything from a fellow professional. Always expect the worst.
Isn't it great to see this little glimmer of humanity in professional football? Because the world of professional football is murky and it's full of money at the best of times, and it's corrupt, it's this, it's that. We don't know what's going on. But think back to years ago, Paulo Di Canio for West Ham against Everton. When the goalkeeper was down, the ball came in, he had an open goal, and he caught the ball. Yeah, the
goalkeeper had a broken leg, so that was different.
We didn't know at the time he had a broken leg, but he caught the ball.
I think goalkeeper's different as well.
Yeah,
anyway.
but that was a beautiful moment, kind of. It's just great to see that kind of.
But that's
principles still exist in the game, kind of.
It's such a false principle because the player injured is oftentimes faking. So the principled decision to put the ball out of play, they've been fooled into doing it. So 2 wrongs don't make a right, 1 wrong, no, it doesn't add up, is what I'm saying.
Okay, one question, Jack, and this. Baltimore Crabs, Beamish Cup final, ye are 1-0 down, and the same thing happens, that one of your players goes down, a Baltimore player, and let's pick a team, Skibbereen, get a goal like that, when the Baltimore player is down. Would you just accept that and say, okay, fair enough?
No, that's what I'm saying. I can understand Conor Hourihane's reaction because the way the game is currently played, they're expected to kick it out. But I would go absolutely nuts if it happened to me as well. But then I would also say, but wouldn't it be a better game if this could never happen? Because the referee had final say, like they do in hurling and rugby. You never stop play until the referee says so. And before we get too angry, we should bring it back to Bandon's Conor Hourihane now, because I said a few weeks ago on the podcast, and I was ridiculed by some in my comparison to Roy Keane in the way he led in the Ireland versus Georgia game. But his reaction was also reminiscent of Roy Keane. There was veins popping out of his head. Yeah. He looked like someone ready for a fight. Now, I don't know the names of the main pubs on this high street in Bandon, but I'm sure there are lads squaring up to each other on a Friday and Saturday night in the same vein Hourihane was the other night. So he was angry, and
like I said,
it's fire in your belly. I like to see that.
It is.
I would like to see the rule changed. Is what I'm saying.
It shows a bit of heart. It shows a bit of fire in Conor, and he's always had that. And what's going to be interesting is the playoffs now for the championship, as there's a couple of teams battling to get up to the Premier League. We could have the case in a couple of weeks' time where if Villa and Leeds, as far as I know, they could be on opposite sides in the semi-final.
I think they are, yeah.
They are. So you could have a Leeds Aston Villa playoff final at Wembley, the 2 teams back again, and it'd be interesting to see what happens if a fella goes down injured that day.
Drama. Look, don't give it. The drama was unbelievable. Yeah. Like one of the greatest pieces of sporting television you'll ever see. Like Joe, I could not take my eyes off it. There was the side action of John Terry mouting at the Leeds manager. There was just things going on all over the shop. The Aston Villa supposedly injured player sneaking down the tunnel. The Patrick Bamford, potential Irish international, with a disgraceful dive, getting an Aston Villa midfielder El Ghazi sent off. So yeah, don't get me wrong, like this was dramatic television at its best, but I think for the good of football, the referee should be the only person allowed to decide that play is stopped. And in the rules, I think that's what it says.
I think so.
But there's this still fake etiquette that
once it's not a head injury, the ref can let it play on. But I think I'm glad we both agreed that Conor Hourihane's reaction was right.
It was warranted. For me, it was warranted in the current climate.
Yeah.
But if the rule is changed, which it should be in my opinion, or just the rule can't be changed, just the whole mindset of. But anyway, look.
Good luck with that.
Well, great drama, as we said, whatever your interpretation of the incident. But now for more pressing matters. The Cork ladies footballers are back in the big time. They're in the league final action this weekend, and Kieran spoke to talismanic forward Orla Finn to preview the game.
I'm joined now by friend of the show, Orla Finn, Cork footballer, ahead of a huge weekend for the Cork ladies football team, the Division 1 league final against Galway this Sunday. Before we talk about the game, Orla, just to check in on you missed the game recently through concussion, so you were back to the semi-final, you got 13 points, so you're flying fit again?
Yeah, no, I'm delighted to be back now again. I got a hit in the Donegal game, so I was out for a few weeks after that, just with concussion, so I had to just take care and look after myself for those few weeks. But no, I'm delighted to be back now again.
And you definitely made your impact felt in that semi-final against Dublin. But before we look at that game, the league kind of started off pretty slow for Cork. You 2 losses in the first 3 games, but you've really picked up form since then.
Yeah, it did. I suppose the first few games we were kind of getting used to each other again. We're kind of a team in transition. There's a lot of new girls coming onto the panel this year. We were out with the Mournabbey girls at the start of the year as well, for the first few games. So I suppose having everyone back now has really helped, and the experience that the younger girls have gotten in the first few games are really standing to us. We have a massive panel now. We've great subs to come on, which is really helping us.
We talked here some of the younger players. I was just going through some stats ahead of our preview in the Southern Star this week, and let's say the likes of Valley Rovers, Emer and Dara Kiley, I think they played in 8 and 7 games. Laura Mahoney's played in 6 games. Claire O'Shea from Beara in the last 2 games. Your own clubmate, Cy Valeri, has featured in a good few games. So you've unearthed a lot of talented players there, Orla, and it's really going to strengthen the panel, even looking forward to the championship.
Yeah, there's unbelievable talent coming through. Those girls have really stood up this year to senior level. I know some of the girls were on the panel after leaving cert last year, but there's some new girls, Claire and Laura, and Sarah Leahy, they're doing their leaving cert this year. So just having them on board with us is fantastic, and they're at all the trainings and they're putting in that extra effort. So having them has really strengthened our panel, and it shows on the day of a big game. Even last week when it went to extra time, we had the subs to come on. So no, it's fantastic.
I was chatting to James Masters this week just ahead of the game, looking at the game, and he made mention of the strength in the Cork attack at the moment is phenomenal. If you look in the bench, on any given day, you could have Saoirse Noonan, Emer Scally, kind of anyone, like obviously you start, Anya, Terry, Kieran, Darren. It's just, there's an array of riches there, kind of. It must be pretty hard for us to win your place on the starting 15 and then to try and hold on to that place.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know how the management can settle on the starting 6 forwards, but it's a brilliant position to be in for us and for management. Looking back years ago when we were winning the All Irelands, we had that depth in the panel and that strength, and it's coming back around to that now again, which will really stand to us going forward. So it's a good position to be in, really.
Another big addition this year, and she's back, Niamh Cotter, who's been superb so far in the league. She missed last year. She was away in Canada with college. But how big a plus has it been having Niamh back in the team, Orla?
Oh, she's been fantastic. She's really been running the show, midfield, centre forward area. Just she has the experience from the previous years, and coming back this year now, she has that hunger after missing last year as well. And she's really stepped up. She's really settled back into the panel, and she's absolutely flying it.
Yeah, I'm going to throw you kind of a trickier question now, because I've asked Melissa Duggan this and James Masters in the last few days, just to see what's more important in the final this weekend. Is it more important to get a good team performance, or is it more important for Cork to win some silverware?
I think if we have a good team performance, we'll have a very good chance of winning the game, to be honest. In the last few games, we've been going from strength to strength. I think a team performance is important going forward for us, that we all click. But it would be nice, after we lost the semi-final last year. The only medal we came out with last year really was the Munster final win. So it would be nice to set us off in a good start, winning a league title.
Regardless of, hopefully, obviously, we all hope the Cork win this weekend, but regardless of that, it's been a very good league for Cork. Like, I know we mentioned about unearthing new players, but you have a very strong competitive squad looking towards the Munster Championship and the All-Ireland Series.
Yeah, and that's the position that we want to be in. We want people pushing for places. That's the way that you're going to hopefully be successful, if you have people pushing for places and driving each other on in trainings. Trainings are very competitive, and that's the way you want it to be to get the most out of them. So we're in a great position, really.
And hopefully everything will go well this Sunday. There'll be more silverware coming back to Cork. So best of luck, Orla. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks a million. Thanks, Kieran.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast. Now, the Skibbereen Regatta takes place this weekend, which, as always, is a huge event. for Skibbereen Rowing. Kieran, can you maybe tell us a little bit about the regatta?
Yeah, the regatta is one of the big events, the big event of the year for Skibbereen Rowing Club. It's on this Saturday, May 4th and this Sunday, May 5th at the National Rowing Centre in Escarra. So it's over 2 days. They have an entry of well over 600 crews, which is fantastic. And it's a great chance for us normal folk to hopefully get to see the likes of Gary and Paul O'Donovan in action. You've Shane O'Driscoll and Mark O'Donovan, who were the world lightweight pair champions back in 2017. Hopefully we'll see world single champion Sunita Paspura in action. All the top internationals, as well as the likes of Skibbereen Rowing Club's Jake and Fintan McCarthy, the twins, who are going very, very well this year and actually medalled at a regatta in Italy there a couple of weeks ago. And for younger skib rowers like Finn O'Reilly, who was picked on the Ireland team for the Coupe de la Jeunesse later on this year. So huge event for Skibbereen Rowing Club. And ahead of it, I had a chat with Denise Walsh, who as well as being an Irish international rower, is also the secretary for the regatta. I'm joined now by Denise Walsh, Irish international rower, 2017 European singles gold silver medalist, and also this weekend a very busy Skibbereen Rowing Club regatta secretary. Welcome, Denise. Big weekend for the club this weekend at the National Rowing Centre in Escarra on Saturday, May 4th and Sunday, May 5th. It's the Skibbereen Rowing Club Regatta. Can you tell me a small bit about the regatta and its importance?
So it's kind of our main fundraiser for the year. Anyway, first of all, it's kind of our big event that we hold every year. Unfortunately, last year was cancelled due to the weather, so we're hoping this year that it'll be kind to us. So it's kind of the part of the Grand League series, so there's like 3 of them a year. So we kind of normally hold one of the big ones. It's been successful every year we've held it, so fingers crossed. And we get a lot of internationals at the regatta, and it's very well run. We couldn't do without all the volunteers. We've 100 volunteers normally every year from the club and the community, so it's great.
As well as the volunteers, some local businesses help out as well?
Yeah, so the Celtic Ross are providing prizes for us this year, so every winner will get a t-shirt. And then Connecticut normally come on board to give you some products, so we're hoping that we'll get some of them now before the weekend as well. So yeah, like everyone kind of comes on board, yeah. Super. And as well as that, Denise, like this is an opportunity for club rowers of all ages. Can you just talk us through like how many events there are, like what ages they start at and what we can expect this weekend? Yeah, so they start junior 14 all the way up to senior and then masters on top of that again. So it's kind of the first regatta now that a lot of our younger rowers will be rowing in this year because everything's been cancelled so far with the weather. So we're after introducing junior 14 and junior 15 8X pluses, which is 8 people in a boat for that age category. Is like it's kind of only new coming on the scene, so it's going to be great to see like all the youngsters, a big group of them out in the water. And then they get to race against, so the Grand League is good because let's say a junior 16 will get to race against Gary and Paul if they're racing, like, so it's kind of, it's like an overall time kind of thing, so you're in a big group and then you get seeded into your final, so it's like their opportunity to race against the internationals to really see where they want to get to and how, yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. And as well, this regatta is getting bigger every year. Like you said, unfortunately last year it was cancelled, but and there were 770 crews entered last year. Yeah. And that was up in the year before. Like this is an event that's getting bigger and bigger, and you have a real top quality field this weekend. Yeah, that regatta, which wasn't held, was 100 crews extra than normal. So like that would have been pretty spectacular to run. But this weekend a lot of them are doing exams and stuff, so we kind of have more quality in the field. Like there's a lot of the internationals hopefully racing after camp in Vrazy, and so hopefully there'll be some really good racing and some tight racing and stuff. Yeah. And I think I mentioned earlier, not only are you a rower, but you're also the regatta secretary, so you have been up the walls, I can only guess, the last couple of weeks. So what was that role actually involved for you? So I don't know how much I've done really, but we held a meeting before we went away to Italy and just kind of ran through what needed to be done, and everyone in the club helps out, so everyone does their part kind of thing. So we just kind of trash it out between us just to make sure everything's covered. We're having another meeting tonight now to kind of get everything finalised. So I just send out emails looking for volunteers. We're still looking for volunteers. So then I make out the regatta timetable and things like that. So you kind of follow a broad layout and then make out the times for all the races, and like the entries go into like this overall tracker system, and you have to kind of see through them then to make sure all the races are there and the timetables and nothing clashes, things like that. And then just field a few phone calls from people asking a few questions that you have to say no to probably. Yeah, so that's about it really. So then on the day obviously you're in the office and like, you know, answering all the questions and stuff, yeah. So I kind of presume you're going to be pretty busy on Saturday and Sunday. So will you actually get on the water yourself to race? I'm entered, so we'll see, all going well, like if we can get together quad or double and stuff, like I'd go out racing, yeah. And let's have a quick look at some of the athletes that we hope we might see this weekend.
Obviously from Skibbereen Rowing Club here, Gary and Paul O'Donovan, Mark O'Donovan, Shane O'Driscoll. You might see them in the water, Denise?
Yeah, I'm hoping that like they're all going to be there. Unfortunately, the Rowing Ireland truck broke down again, so a lot of the boats are on that. So they're going to have to try and get some spare boats and things like that. So I suppose it all depends on that. But I'd say they'll all be around the regatta anyway, whether they're racing or not as well. So that's good. And
as well as that, we know we will see on the water Jake and Fintan McCarthy, and as well as Finn O'Reilly, who's been picked for the Coupe this year. Like Jake and Fintan and Finn, like, it's great to see them. It's another opportunity for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it's great to see more internationals and everything competing, and more people get on the team like Finn now and stuff. So that's really good, for the club.
And as well as that, hopefully we might see again world champion Sunita Paspura.
Yeah, she'll be there anyway. Yeah.
And Monika Dukarska, I hope I've got her name right. Yeah. African and Emily Hegarty as well, which would be brilliant. Will Dominic Casey be around this weekend, and what will Dominic be doing?
So Dominic will be umpiring for 2 of the slots, and I'd say he'll be driving the launch or in and around people for the other slots, but he'll be working. We'll put him working.
Oh, fantastic. You mentioned there as well you were in Italy. That was an international camp in Varese for a couple of weeks. How did things go there?
Yeah, grand. There was a big group of us there. I'd say it was the biggest camp we've been on yet. There was like 19 athletes, so it was really good to hang out with different people and things like that. A lot of work done there,
I suppose it's important this time of the year, like the international kind of season is just around the corner. So was it important to get that block of training in before things start to pick up in the summer?
Yeah, final trials will be in June now, so there's going to be a lot of training and stuff to be done before then. So there was a lot of kind of crews put together and things like that out in the camp,
So before you even can turn your attention to international scene, it's all about this weekend at the National Rowing Centre.
Yeah.
It's Saturday, May 4th, Sunday, May 5th. It's the Skibbereen Rowing Club Regatta. Promises to be a great show.
Yeah, it's like the one time people can come and see us racing, and like it's so close to home. It's only an hour up the road, and like you're never going to, are you going to go abroad to see the internationals racing, whereas you can see them this weekend? So it's kind of something to... go to see.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Come here, Denise. Thank you so much for coming along, and best of luck this weekend.
Cool, thanks a million. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast. And Kieran, as noted by our opening 2 interviews, busy weekend of sport coming up in West Cork, for the people of West Cork. They want to know where they can read about it. I'm assuming they can read about it all in Thursday's Southern Star, specifically the sports section. But what, might I ask, is in this week's sports section?
Oh, Jack, it's our favourite time of the week. I just look forward to this every week. As soon as this podcast is over, I cannot wait for this time next week to record the exact same piece. But as usual, Jack, it's a cracker. 24 pages of sport in this week's Southern Star. The Cork ladies, as we talked to Orla earlier, are in the National League Division 1 final. So we've interviews with James Masters as well as Orla, and a look at Melissa Duggan from Downey's, who has emerged and matured into one of the finest footballers in the country. Also, last weekend, the Cork minor camogie team won the All-Ireland, and there was a very, very strong West Cork influence in that team. So we have a match report, pictures, and an interview with their manager, Jerry Wallace. Skibbereen Rugby Club held the junior interprovincial game between Leinster and Munster last weekend. A fantastic occasion, and Skibbereen really did put on a superb show. Unfortunately, the result wasn't great. Leinster won 19-13, but there was 8 local players involved. 4 from Bandon, 2 from Skibbereen, 1 from Clonakilty, 1 from Kinsale. And Crosshaven as well, Jamie Kine from Crosshaven. So that's 9 West Cork players involved. So we have that included this week. In soccer, Drina Rangers' reign as West Cork League Premier Division champions is over. They drew, I know Jack is shaking his head here, and 2 weeks ago, Drina lost the Beamish Cup final. The week after, they lost the Maybury Coaches Parkway Hotel final. And now last weekend they drew 1-1 with Dunmanway Town, and that means they've relinquished their league title. What happens now is Dunmanway Town and Ballydehob will go forward to a playoff for the Premier Division title in I think 2 weeks time. So we have all the news and reaction from that. And there's so much more, Jack, that you really have to go out and pick up this week's Southern Star out on Thursday to see and read about all the fantastic sport that wasn't offered last weekend and that's coming up this weekend.
And don't forget, if you're living outside of West Cork, The newspaper is also available to purchase via our website in digital edition, and the page you need to go to is www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper, and you can read the Southern Star on your iPad, iPhone, tablet, desktop, laptop for less than €2 per week. But as I say every week, if you're in and around the shop where they're selling it, it's always nice to have the broadsheet. But Kieran, before you ask your listener's question, which I think you were planning on doing just now, I also received a listener's question to the digital@southernstar.ie email address, and it's from Michael in Clonakilty. And Michael wants to know, Kieran, what is the best time you've ever run 5 kilometres in? I know you used to do a bit of running in your day. Maybe you still do. I'm not too sure. But do you have a good 5k PB?
Well, to start off, I just want to kind of put this...
Thanks for the question, Michael.
Thanks, Michael, very much for this. Put me on the spot, but I have a very dodgy knee. I have to kind of put that forward first. So anytime I do put forward, before people start laughing, you have to take into account that my right knee, I have no cartilage there.
Oh, sounds painful.
I did my cruciate years and years ago when I was 19, and I'd bone and bone damage and all that. So my knee is in bits, it's in shreds. So I have to, but still, I'm a warrior, I'm a soldier. I'd still run on the road like the fool that I am.
Foolhardy.
That's one way of describing me. My best time, I've done 23 minutes, which isn't fast.
That's pretty good though.
But it's not really kind of...
You'd be giving it your best though.
Yeah, I did a lot of... I've done a couple of half marathons in the past. I think 1:56 was my fastest for a half marathon. The last time I did a half marathon, I swore never to run again because it was the most horrendous experience of my life. I hadn't the training done for it, and I was fit to just give up halfway through. But I struggled on. I'm not going to say where I finished, what time I finished, and what day I finished, but I did finish. So yeah, I kind of said 23 minutes for a 5k. I'm actually hoping to get back into running again this year. Yeah. I have a 10k in mind in July. So Jack, we might have a race there. You never know.
So there you have it, a sports editor with some sporting pedigree, which, from working in the newspaper industry for a while, you won't find many sports editors with any sporting pedigree. So
I wouldn't really call it pedigree either. I just call it kind of, I'm better running downhill rather than I am uphill. But talking about sporting pedigree, Jack, since the last time we spoke on this podcast, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of disappointed fans to learn you didn't make your debut for the O'Donovan Rossa junior hurlers in the county Junior B Hurling Championship opener against Belgooly at Clonakilty. That was the big game 2 weeks ago.
Fine spread in this week's paper, or last week's paper.
That was fantastic spread. Great win for O'Donovan Rossa. Congratulations there. But Jack, what happened? How come we didn't see you there? I had a photographer and all lined up to get that first historic picture of Jack in action in the Skib jersey, but never came to be.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, because of admin in the GAA, my transfer had not gone through on time, and as it was a championship game, obviously you can't be risking playing unregistered players. So no, I ended up doing the hurls and the water for the afternoon. But a fine win for the O'Donovan Rossa boys against a young, hungry Belgooly team, and I have to give a big shout out to big Stevie Cotter, who put on an absolute masterclass.
1-2. Got 1-2.
Yeah. This man is an absolute machine, and I look forward to sharing the field with him in the near future, because I just got a text there from someone involved in the club who said your transfer is more or less gone through now, what's your address? And so hopefully I'll be tugging out soon enough, and I can come back with a report from on the field rather than from the side of the field.
But now you need to win your place on the team. If I
could 100%. They've won 2 games from 2 and won well. So
if I could give O'Donovan Rossa any advice here, like, you have a winning team there, like, you know, you don't want to disrupt a winning team for one fella. So keep going, doing what you're doing.
Well, I think there's a game this Sunday. And as we all know, the Ballydehob Jazz is on this weekend. It's also Bank Holiday weekend. Brilliant. So I would suggest that many members of the panel may be coming up with excuses for reasons as why not to play on Sunday. But I'm gonna make myself available Sunday morning away to Ballygarvan, I believe, which is up near the city, I think.
Doesn't get much bigger than that, Jack.
No, it does not.
On a bank holiday Sunday.
And then go back for an out boogie at the Jazz in Ballydehob afterwards.
Brilliant. No, fantastic. Best of luck this weekend, Jack. So, again, thanks to everyone for listening to the Star Sport podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week. And if you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to the show. Thanks very much.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.